Good morning and welcome to part 5 of the Hadrian's wall path, and I'm here at Birdoswald. And actually I've got a bit of a view into the fort. I can see the perimeter wall there, and then all the way at the back I think I can see one of the gates on what would be the southern side. And this Roman fort is owned and managed by English Heritage, and there is some excavated remains just over on this part. I'm not sure if you actually have to pay to go in or not, but the actual trail goes around the edge of the Roman fort, and it's a long day today. We're going all the way to Carlisle, which is about 17 miles. So we've just arrived at turret 49B, which is Birdoswald West. And what's really quite interesting about this one is that there's no 49A, because 49A actually was positioned right in the middle of the fort. And then later on, when they decided to incorporate large forts as part of Hadrian's Wall, obviously there was no room for that one, so they got rid of it, demolished it, and then built the fort there. So we've just come over this little hill here, and we've got our first view of the Lake District, which is incredible. I can see Blencathra on the left over there, and as it goes across you can see Skiddaw, and oh, it's just so lovely to see that. And that means we're so close to the end, because Carlisle is just 15 miles or so down there, and then 13 miles to the end at Bowness on Solway. This here at Piper Syke is turret 51A, and it sits right on the road, which I think was the Roman military road, and it just seems very random to be positioned right here, but Hadrian's Wall would have run off in that direction and also that way. And it says on the sign that Hadrian's Wall continues 44 kilometres to Bowness on Solway, which we've got a bit more than that to do because it doesn't follow the route exactly, but it's cool to know that it's really not far to the end. So this is Pike Hill Signal Tower, and this is one of the first buildings I think we've come across that actually seems to be built at an angle to the wall, because this actually predates Hadrian's Wall by about 30 years. The information board says that the tower overlooked the Roman road called Stangate and could signal to Roman forts nearby at Nether Denton and Castle Hill. So this is Banks East and it's turret 52A. And again, this one stood at either 2 or 3 stories high. And it says during excavations in 1927, they recovered a mason's hammer, a coin depicting the Emperor Hadrian, pottery for cooking and eating, several hearths, and a stone platform that formed the base of a ladder. So we've just come across this lovely section of wall here at Hare Hill, and it's really nice to come across a bit so high, although that was actually rebuilt in the 19th century. Most of the wall along this section was actually removed to be used as part of Lanercost Priory in the 12th and 13th century. So we left Banks just a few minutes ago and followed some field edges, and you know what, it took us to this absolutely incredible view. We're only at about 130 metres here, but I've got a view from the Pennines, which I think is Coldfell up there, round to the Lake District where I can see Helvellyn, Blencathra and Skiddaw. Round this way, I think I can see Walton Church down there, that's our next kind of stop. But the Cumbrian Coast is just over there, and then on this side of the trees, I've got a view across to Scotland, easily 20 miles away. It's absolutely incredible. So we've had to take a little detour which has followed the road as the Hadrian's Wall path is diverted along here at the moment. It no longer follows the riverbank, and I think that might be because of some erosion and where the river has worn away the path so you just can't get through. So we're just crossing over the bridge in towards Walton now. And in Walton there is a little tiny tea room. And here's the river. And there's also a church, the Church of St Mary, which is Grade 2 star listed and dates to 1869. And it was actually built on the site of a medieval church. And inside, at the base of the font, is actually a stone plinth which dates to either the 10th or 11th century, so either late Saxon or early Norman. So we've just left Walton behind and something happened on the way through a field of cows, and no, it wasn't the cows chasing us. We bumped into a gentleman called Mark Richards who actually wrote the official Cicerone guidebook for Hadrian's Wall and dozens of other books that I've got at home, and I managed to grab a little photo with him. And it's just amazing because, like, I love Alfred Wainwright. I think he's an amazing author, and he actually knew him when he was younger. And he was such a lovely man. It was just amazing to meet him, and I'm absolutely buzzing. So we just stopped at Bleetarn to have some lunch. We sat down just overlooking what I thought was going to be a lake, but actually it's all overgrown. What this was in the past was actually a Roman quarry. There's a little information board just by the gate. So once they'd extracted as much stone as they'd needed, what they believed they did was actually flooded this area and then bred fish here so they could feed the local population. Just arrived at Low Crosby now, and this is the Church of St John just behind the trees, and it dates to 1854 and is grade 2 listed, but it was actually completely replacing an older medieval church on the site, so very similar to the church at Walton. And this one is made of a lovely red sandstone, which I think is the same material as the cathedral is made of in Carlisle. So we've just left Crosby and we've now joined the edge of the River Eden, which is just the other side of this bit of grass. And we're going to follow this for, I think, about half a mile and then branch off towards the city centre via Linstock, and I'm hoping to see a bit of the castle there. There's a peel remaining from a castle, and there's actually some really nice views across to the Lake District from here. I've got a clear view of Skiddaw and Blencathra, which are only probably 15 miles in a straight line, and I reckon we've only got about 3 or 4 miles until we get to the end of today. So just over there is Linstock Castle, and it was built as a palace for the bishops of Carlisle in the late 12th or early 13th century, and it's grade 2 star listed. So we're just walking along this cycle trail here, and in the field there seems to be a tower. I've just had a little look online, and it's possibly a dovecote, which is grade 2 listed and dates to 1835, and it literally is just in the middle of a field over here. It's really quite strange for it to be there, but pretty cool and nice to see. And I think we've got about a mile and a half, something like that, until we are then in the centre of Carlisle. So this park on the other side of the river is Rickaby Park, and it really marked our entrance into Carlisle. And we're now on the riverbank path here, which leads us right into the city centre, maybe half a mile or so and we're there. And that will be the end of this penultimate day. One more day left, about 13 miles, and I think we might get some rain tomorrow. but fingers crossed, it's going to be a good day.